Hi, I'm not a cyclist, I'm a commuter. I know, I was just as confused. Turns out there's a big difference. Cyclists don't consider themselves commuters, while most commuters consider themselves cyclists. Pedestrians and motorists think we're all the same. So, what's the difference? Commuters use their bikes as a means to an end. So, doing deliveries, running a couple of errands, going to the mall, going to the market, doing a couple of weekend rides, commuting to work. While on the flip side, a cyclist uses their bike to earn a living. This means eat, sleep, train, drink, eat, sleep, train, drink, eat, sleep, train, drink. Basically bikes, all year round. And this is a big contributing factor as to why the local races are dominated by the likes of Sosi Simbas, Kenyan Riders, Team Amani, and so on. Back to the matter at hand. We'll get into the differences between a commuter and a cyclist in an in-depth separate video. We'll be getting into the nitty-gritties as to why there's a difference between these two particular cyclists or riders or commuters, for lack of a better word.
Now, President William Ruto has challenged the youth to assume their rightful position in the climate change conversation. The president said the age group is powerful and its voice can no longer be left at the periphery. The head of state was speaking on Sunday at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, Nairobi, during the Africa Youth Climate Assembly 2023.
Recently, Kenya hosted the African Climate Summit, and
between 4th and the 6th of September this year, Nairobi will host the Africa Climate Summit, where our continent will gather to define and refine its fresh and distinctive position regarding how humanity should engage in effective action in order to save this planet from a climate catastrophe and at the same time lift hundreds of millions out of poverty.
And part of this was the encouragement of the migration from petrol-head motorcars to e-bike, e-buses, and e-cars. And definitely not forgetting bicycles, because it's by far the cheapest, easiest, and fastest way or factor towards contributing towards this particular development.
Experience on the road is really bad because the drivers really don't notice the cyclist on the road, and I would encourage the drivers to please share the road and at least notice a cyclist. I would like to tell you something that maybe will bring the focus to people. Okay, if you have a child, while you are driving on the road and you notice a cyclist, you can show your child that cyclist. So when they grow up, or introduce your children to cycling, so when they grow up and they are on the road, they will notice the cyclist on the road, and they will learn to share the road.
However, the biggest hindrance to this is lack of proper bike lanes and mutual respect from fellow motorists. For some reason, people just act like whenever they see a bicycle on the road, it's almost as if you don't belong on the roads. So they'll try to shove you or bully off the road. And this is also partly because people think that whenever you're on a bicycle, you're poor and you can't afford means of transport, you can't afford a car, you can't afford to pay your bus fare, which is quite unfortunate because I've seen a couple of bicycles in our Kenyan roads that fetch for way more than some of the cars that are honking and continuously bullying the cyclists off the road. And even in some of the roads that have proper demarcated bike lanes, you'll find cars that are parked there, or pedestrians are walking there, or ndudis or motorbikes are parked there, or even those are bullying you. The recent Traffic Act has sort of prioritized the right of giving way to road users. And on top of the list is pedestrians, of course, then cyclists, then motorbikes, then tuk-tuks, then sedans, SUVs, and so on and so. So even the law is encouraging people to get on the bikes. But does that mean it's safe for you out there? How's your experience cycling in Kenya?
It is good. I've realized many people here, they give respect to riders. Most especially when you are fully dressed in the jersey, they can't give all respect. But most dangerous people, they are the matatu people. they don't give respect to people. This world, we need to share the loads. So I will encourage them to share the load with the riders on the road. Give them respect. If you find a rider, at least give him 1 meter away from you to keep us safe.
What about the border borders?
The border borders guys, they also need to respect riders. Most of them, they come close to you and tend to push you. They cause many injuries to cyclists.
So I took the liberty of going out there and scouting for roads that have proper bike lanes demarcated specifically for cyclists. And these are some of the best ones that I found. Ngong Road is ranking top, and this is a stretch from Ngong Race Course all the way to Haile Selassie. We have Jogo Road that has a proper demarcated bike. We have Westlands or Jiji Road. It's also pretty good. Some of the best design roads that I've seen so far is Ngong Road, and this is a stretch from Ngong Race Course all the way to Upper Hill, Haile Selassie, roundabout. Very smooth, well marked and demarcated. Traffic lights are working efficiently, and there are also cops on each cross junction, which also helps in keeping motorists a bit disciplined. In Eastlands, I did a recce of Jogo Road, and the bike lane provision is quite big enough. Albeit too big because some cars took advantage of this and were overlapping over here. Some were parked on this lane, and this sort of beats the purpose of having a dedicated cycling lane. And this stretches all the way from the outer ring intersection to Mudhura Market. You'll have to be brave to use this road because you'll have to bully yourself through motorists, matatus, motorbikes, and even some of the pedestrians who are crossing the roads for your right of way. Ojiji Road in Westlands provide ample cycling space, but not too big to be divided by motorists, which I thought was very clever because this is now a proper cycling lane. However, you'll still have to battle your way through pedestrians who are using this path because lack of a proper walkway, which is understandable. And some of the motorbikes, which, yes, it's a bike lane, so ideally they're also a bike, just that they're motorized. Thika Road, by far, is one of the best designed highways. And from the jump, they provided ample cycling lanes, which is quite contrary to the later constructed Outer Ring Road, which branches off from Thika Road. You'll think that they'll pick something from Thika Road because Outer Ring Road literally has zero. It has zero cycling lanes. And it's a new highway. You'll expect that with this coming up, they'll put all these provisions in, but for some reason, this was missed out entirely.
And I would really encourage the government, while they are constructing the roads, please consider the cyclists. We really need those cycling lanes.
The biggest challenge that we experience with some of these dedicated bike lanes is that with pedestrians walking there, cars parked there, motorbikes parked there, it becomes quite difficult for you to not even speed crazily or daredevilish, just to ride normal speed. Like if you're doing 20 or 30, you can really do those speeds on those particular lanes. Why? Because there's so much distraction, and you'll keep having to swipe back to the main road and back. So you'll have to keep interchanging between the main road and cycling lane, main road and bike lane, main road, bike lane. And this is quite dangerous because as a rule of thumb, as a cyclist when you're on the road, you always have to be predictable in your maneuvers. And this is to ensure that a motorist behind you will be able to predict your movement for when they want to overtake. This makes it a bit hard for them and even lead to unnecessary accident. It's, however, both our responsibility as cyclists, commuters, just like it is of motorists, pedestrians, or motorbikes who are using the road, to take care of each other, share the road, and be able to protect each other whenever you're on the road, because this will help avoid unnecessary accidents on the road, because bicycle accidents are quite messy and ugly. It's not something that you want to be part of. It's not something that you want to witness. And it's definitely not something that you want to be responsible for. So please, let's share the roads. As a commuter, I always live by this mantra: anticipate, communicate, activate. Basically what this means is, as a commuter or a cyclist, you have to anticipate the next guy's move, be it a fellow cyclist or the motorist. Because when you're riding in a peloton, you have to anticipate for potholes, there are bumps, there are rubble streets, and you don't want to make swifty moves that might unnecessarily rattle the next guy, because this might lead to unnecessary accident. Because as a cyclist, when you're riding in a straight, predictable line, be it in a peloton or a group ride, or you're just commuting the two of you and you're helping each other in terms of aerodynamics and just sticking on someone's slipstream, what this means is, if there's a motorist coming, They can anticipate for your next move. They can anticipate you moving left or right, so that when they're overtaking you, it's quite clear and safe. And even for your fellow cyclists, it's important for them to anticipate your next move to avoid unnecessary crashes. Anticipation is important because some of the motorists, you'll find out that they don't even indicate whenever they want to make a turn. And if you're moving too fast, you might end up just hitting them. So anticipating that particular move, when you get to a corner, you anticipate someone to turn. When you get to a T-junction or a cross junction, you anticipate cars to be moving on that side. So when you get there, you slow down a bit, check first before you go. So you get to a particular point where, okay, yes, you've anticipated for everybody's move. You factored in their calculations and you're ready to make your move. The most important thing, whenever you're ready to make a move, you have to communicate. Be it communicating with other fellow riders, or is it communicating with the motorist? And this is by ways of indications. You might be indicating for a pothole, you might be indicating for rubble strips, or you might be indicating for a bump. Or, even more importantly, you might be indicating for a left or right turn. Whenever you want to deviate from that predictable line of path that everybody else has factored in and anticipated, you have to communicate by means of indicating before you make your next move. So you've done the first two important things. You've anticipated the moves, you've communicated properly, and now it's time for you to activate. By activate is basically taking action. Now whatever intention you had, you had communicated to your people, now you want to take action. So yes, you've anticipated, you've communicated your move, but just make sure before you take your move, before you take charge, just make sure that this particular motorist or a motorbike or a truck coming your way have given you a go-ahead. You can't just turn because you've indicated. Just because you made an indication does not mean that you can take the charge, right? It can be in means of them slowing down, them giving you a quick flash, but just make sure that they've understood what you're trying to do. They've given you right of way, you can make your move. But only then can you swerve. Because if you swerve and they've not given you a go-ahead, remember, not all motorists are paying attention on the road. Some have zoned out, some are distracted, some are on their phones, some not even indicating. So it's quite dangerous and risky for you to make that move if you've not been given a go-ahead. Remember, the three crucial things to do: anticipate, communicate, activate. Oof, I just saw him. I'm feeling like an artist. Msanii. Burning calories is definitely way better than burning fuel. And it's a fast way to commute, especially with the traffic in Nairobi. You'll be safer or better off riding a bike or a motorbike to work or to your next destination on a bike than using your car or matatu. With that, you don't have many options. And I read somewhere that you're not really stuck in traffic. You are the traffic. Everybody else is stuck with you. But in a bicycle, it's really up to you. And the advantages of commuting with a bicycle is because every other day, you have the liberty of picking or deciding which route you want to take. You might be doing 10 kilometers to work today. Tomorrow you switch it up a bit. You do 12 or 15. And do 15, you do 30. In the evening, you do a different loop. And with this, you get to experience, there's a certain fulfillment and adrenaline rush that comes with cycling to work. And focus, you have that laser focus during the day, and because you're super pumped by the time you get to work. And not forgetting that with different sceneries, it gets a bit exciting. Like there's a certain level of excitement that comes. It's not something you really can explain. It's something that you have to experience. And to be honest, I feel like if you have to choose, yes, you'll say, okay, there's rain. You don't want to get rain. You want to get to work wet. But to be honest, if you really have to choose between a bike and a car, matatu, and your contribution towards this is simply picking up a bike. Chukua Endika yako, endesha. Because change starts with you. Change starts with me and you. And this is cheaper. It saves you money. Instead of burning fuel, you're burning calories. You're keeping fit, you're looking good, you're feeling good. And just like the president said,
here in Kenya, 2- and 3-wheeler vehicles comprise the largest share of our national fleet at 67%. Our cities and urban areas are in danger of turning into heavily polluted and unhealthy places, placing millions of enterprising people at great risk.
And you can directly support the channel by purchasing some of the merchandise we have. To be able to bring you content, educational content on a consistent basis, you can purchase some of the merchandise that we have. The financial help will be greatly appreciated. We have t-shirts, we have sweatshirts, we have hoodies, we have hats. But for now, you can place your order through the social media handles that are linked right down below. And you can check out the videos from the previous library. I'll just tag them somewhere here. And your support, if you made it this far, as always, I appreciate you. Have a lovely week. Stay home, stay hydrated, be blessed.
And the drivers and the motorists on the road, please share the road. We are all road users, and when you share the road, it becomes more safe for all of us. Barabara ni ya kila mtu. I pass and I leave the road for you. Sitaenda nayo, so please share the road.
Sorry, before I go, I almost forgot. Remember, until next time, ride your bikes. Regardless of what type of bike it is, it might be an e-bike, it might be a scrap bike, it might be a steel bike, it might be a bike you picked up for 5K. Regardless of what bike it is, ride your bike. Make your mark, represent the cycling community, and see you out on the roads. Take care. Peace.
Future ko so shiny na trust kwa El Shaddai. Utapata tu kila kitu nadai. Ukilan ku trust kwa the Almighty. Tukila big dream ilianza na steps tiny to Titanic.
And just for the record, I directed this particular music video that's playing right now. And if you're so generous and you made it this far, you're definitely a real one. And I like your support. Check out my boy Kamzi's music video for Siku Moja. It's a whole vibe. You'll definitely like this song. So please check it out.
Tutapaa kama ndege juu ya anga.